name is Chris Cuban. I'm the president of the St. Louis PRSA chapter, and we want to welcome all the other PRSA chapters that are joining us. We are excited that this is our 25th webinar that we have that we'll be producing actually within the last 7 months. So that's about 3.5 webinars a month. I think we've only missed 2 weeks in the last 27 weeks. So thank you for joining us. Hope you join us for the next one. But today I'm really excited to have Hinda Mitchell join us. And Hinda is the founder and president of Inspire PR. It's a nationally recognized mid-size communications firm representing valued brands across the United States. She has a staff of 16 people, and she leads a team of public relations and digital professionals, shaping communication strategies and developing strong results for a diverse group of clients. Her clients are all over the country. She was just telling me a minute ago that she was on the phone with, she represents the Ohio Restaurant Association. So they really, her team works with purpose, always with clients' goals and success in mind. This webinar actually came out of something that she wrote for an article for PR News. And it's basically, I'm going to let you take it from here so you can explain kind of how this presentation came to fruition, and we'll go from there. So Hinda, thank you for being with us today, and take it away.
You bet. Thanks, Chris, and thanks for having me. It's great to see everybody. A lot of our work is in food production and farming, so I heard some of those states that we spend a lot of time in working with farmers in Wisconsin and Nebraska and Missouri. So welcome everybody. As Chris said, this presentation actually evolved from some work that I had been doing with PR News in helping people avoid using cliches in their writing. I think we've all seen a lot of that over the last 7 months. And then it developed into more of a presentation, and it just a really sort of a fun way, just good reminders. You know, I'm always mindful when I'm talking with PR people, we all write for a living, right? And so some of these things you'll be like, yeah, I know, Hinda. But hopefully everybody will take away something useful from this. And I'm just really excited to be with you today.
And Hinda, before you get into your presentation, I do want to tell everyone that your husband is an avid Cardinal fan, and that we appreciate that. And also, if anyone has questions during your presentation, please go and use the chat feature or the Q&A feature. So go ahead, Hinda.
Yep. All righty. And for some reason, Chris, everything was working fine, and now that we are now that we're live, I'm not getting my page down to work at all. There we go. Okay, let's see if we're back now. So 2020 has really been a lot, right? I don't need to tell anybody on this call that, but I've heard it referred to most recently as really we're having an Omni crisis. And started with COVID-19, we had economic and unemployment realities, racial injustice, protests, political divisiveness. We had impacts on people and their education. We had working from home, distance learning, essential work, and then wildfires, murder hornets, and now hurricanes once again. And so it's just been a lot. And one of the outcomes of that is we've seen a lot of this. And so we're seeing a lot of thoughts. We're seeing a lot of the same words. And so we want to talk a little bit about how we avoid some of that in our own writing. We're all feeling inundated right now. I think we're getting emails, we're seeing social posts, you know, we're reading and writing media statements for our clients and for our companies. You know, and these unprecedented times that we're in have eliminated a lot of overused phrases, a lot of cliches in writing. And every brand seems to have something that they want to say, and they want to say a lot, right? We're getting emails so frequently, but they don't actually have a unique way to say it. And so the problem is that we're seeing so much repeated language like thoughts and prayers. And at the end of the day, what happens is people just start to tune that out, right? There's a high, when I'm hearing the same phrases over and over, I just get exhausted, right? And when you get exhausted, you shut down. You just dismiss a message out of hand, and you've lost your opportunity to really be an effective communicator. According to dictionary.com, April 2020, these are the most overused pandemic-related words and phrases. And I think if we're all being honest, we've used a lot of these in our writing to date. By the new normal, I'm hearing also now the next normal, unprecedented, uncertain, trying, speaking moistly. I don't know where that one came from. That one slightly terrifies me. Of course, we're talking about the toilet paper shortage once again, because now the grocery stores are starting to limit the amount of paper products you can buy. And of course, we have used and overused the word essential. And another list, this one from Medium, terms from 2020 that need to disappear: doom scrolling, virtual happy hour. I know we've had a lot of virtual happy hours in my company. Performative allyship, a fancy one. Read the room, again, the new normal and the next normal. We are finding so many ways to say difficult, tough, unprecedented, uncertain, trying. We're saying a lot. Everybody who abandoned thoughts and prayers when that one became too common went to love and light. And now we're seeing a lot of love and light happening in writing. And so again, these words are just continuing to be out there and just continuing to be a challenge. But this isn't really new. You look back to what PR Daily said in 2019 were the most overused words. And again, I think as communicators, we all, if we're being honest, will say, yep, check, used all those in my writing, right? We want to partner together. We need to find a new platform. We want to be the leading blah, blah, blah. We're using all those words in our press releases, and PR Daily is calling us out on it. So as Chris mentioned, some of the things that I shared with PR News and talking specifically about cliches and overused phrases. You know, they don't always simple language is what will help make sure your message is understood. I just learned this a couple of days ago, that the National Institutes of Health actually has an online training you can do to see how to help your writing be more plain and more simple. So just as an FYI, I think I'm gonna send my team through that one. But I wanna, this is a video that I want to encourage you to turn it on so that you can hear this video as it plays. And it's kind of a long one, but I think you'll all appreciate it.
First opened our doors.
Since 1926.
Since 1978.
For 60 years.
For 75 years.
For over 80 years.
In 90 years.
Over 100 years.
Nationwide has been on your side.
Restaurants have always been there for you.
Nissan has been with you through thick and thin.
We will do what we've always done.
Take care of people.
We're people.
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 People and family.
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 Family. Family.
Family.
Family.
Family.
Families are families.
Families.
Even now. Especially now.
Especially now.
Right now.
Now more than ever.
More than ever.
Today, more than ever.
Today, more than ever.
In times like this.
At times like these.
During these difficult times.
In these troubled times.
Challenging times.
Trying times.
In these times of uncertainty.
During these uncertain times.
During these uncertain times.
In uncertain times.
In uncertain times.
Uncertain times.
Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
This unprecedented moment in our history.
This time of social distancing.
While things have slowed down.
As we turn more inside.
While the doors may be closed.
While the distance between us has gotten bigger.
The more we stay apart.
We still find ways to stay close. Even when we're apart.
Even if we can't stand closer than 6 feet.
We can all stay connected to work, school, and most importantly, to each other.
There's still ways to touch each each other.
all without leaving the comfort and safety of your home.
Without leaving the safety of your home.
From home.
Your home.
At home.
Home. Home. Home. Home.
Home. Home. That's the key.
Buick and GMC are here to help.
Con Edison is here to help.
Here to help.
Our teams are here.
We are here.
We're here.
We're here.
Here for you.
Here for you.
We're here for you.
We're here for you.
We are here for you. We're here for you.
We are here for you.
We'll be here for you.
Runnings is here for you.
We're still here for you.
We're with you. We're part of your community.
So you can trust us.
You can count on us.
And we'll get through this. Together.
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 Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together. Together.
We're together.
Together. And together.
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 Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
MasterCard.
Well, can probably relate to that. I think you're probably seeing it in your inbox, on your televisions, everywhere. And so I just want to sort of reinforce this idea about why we've got to do better as communicators. Number one is our audiences are savvy, and you're probably hearing this from your but the important part of this is that your message can just get lost or get buried in all of this clutter. There's no breaking through right now if you don't have something really relevant and unique to say. And writing meaningful, compelling content now especially takes a real depth touch and original thinking. And it's important to remember that when we write, we need to write from values, because we write a lot to educate people, right? We share facts, we share data, and that impacts their knowledge. It makes people smarter, right? It makes them understand. It's a great place to do if you're a technical writer. But when we use our values impact feelings and beliefs. And so when you're writing, you want to write from values, because people act on what they believe and feel more often than on what they know. And if you're writing to try and get somebody to take action, whether you're doing it for your company, for your clients, for a brand, you want people to take action. You want them to feel something, to make a decision, and incorporating values that are not the pat ones that everybody's saying, like, we are in this together, we'll be with you since 1969. All those things, you know, as you think about writing from values, you're really going to connect with people in a different way, and you're going to get them to take action. Also from PR News, that being vulnerable and being authentic are key. Thinking about what everybody else is saying and trying to sound smart and be like them and really convey what's in our heart and mind. We know that people are going to respond more when we have invested time to get those words right. And as communicators, that's our obligation. So let's look at some specific tips. Number one, avoiding that writer's peer pressure. We're all looking at what everybody else is saying, and just because they're saying it does not mean that you should say it. And ask yourself whether it makes sense for your business or your brand to be speaking in this space and on this topic. Do you even need to be here? Is this where you need to interject your writing? And if so, are you writing in your own voice? Don't succumb to what everybody else is saying. Stay true to your own voice. Another idea, to be authentic to your writing. Cliches are what everybody says, right? They're our default. That's lazy writing. Lean into your values, like I just walked you through. It's so important to change people's speaks. And ask yourself, why is your brand voice, why is your perspective different, and why does it matter? Why do I, as a reader, care? Why is your voice needed? And by and large, have you really got something worth saying? And this is a hard conversation if you're also talking to clients or to executives within your company, because they're going to want you to plug in at every moment. And you really have to push back a little bit and say, is this where we should be? And do we have something really worth saying that people need to know from us? Think about how avoiding cliches is going to help optimize your content through SEO. Don't stuff keywords in. Think really consistently about those words that are going to bring people back to your platforms, to your site. Don't let your message get lost or buried by putting a bunch of stuff in there that just doesn't even make sense, doesn't resonate, and won't actually drive back to your platforms, to your content, and to your overarching communication strategy. Give yourself some time to think outside the box in your writing. What's going to immediately captivate people? The lead matters now more than ever, and you've got to really get beyond the surface level. Again, get to what people are saying. I had a client who wrote something that I didn't get a chance to see, and it was 7 pages long. It was a letter to their stakeholders, 7 pages worth. And I said, what's the most important thing in this letter? What was the message you were trying to get across? And he said, well, it was on the bottom of page 5. And I was just like, okay, that's helpful. By the way, it was also after a big, huge chart, so it was even worse. So asking yourself, what better get it up in the front so you can immediately captivate those readers? Another great tip for when to be a good writer is to be a good reader. Good writers start by being voracious readers, and knowing what is out there will help you avoid those cliches and those inappropriate phrases. You are a communicator. You know bad writing when you see it. Don't get caught up in the moment of what everybody else is saying. Be true to your writing style. Be true to your voice and your brand. Stay up to date, not just on the news. Don't just read the news, but look at what your competitors are and read what they're saying and what they're writing. Doesn't mean so you can copy it. It means so hopefully you can find a way to make your brand, your company, your clients stand out. And also read about how to write well. You know, read books, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But a good rule of thumb is to actually try to go out there and really read about writing. As you're thinking about your writing, it's important to also understand the data, because you want to make sure you have the best chance of being right second. So think about that in your writing, and how are you going to keep those people focused on you? These are some good guidelines for length, for tweets, for Facebook posts, Google Plus headlines, regular headlines, blog posts, how quickly you should get through those, and paragraph width. Think about that. When you look at your writing, so you're looking at the words you're choosing, but you're also looking at the volume of words you're using. And again, plain and simple writing starts with being able to say it succinctly. Even more advice. I have a client who does this too. Start a sentence with so. It's not necessary. It just detracts from your message. Get your message out, be brief, be mindful of those short attention spans. As you know, or as you may be aware, or as you likely heard, all of those are just unnecessary language that you don't need to put in your writing. Stay away from industry jargon. We've all got it in our various industries, but you've got to speak in layperson terms. Other people don't know what your jargon is, and it just muddies up your writing. And now more than ever, you really need to think about digestible content too. What's going to be easy to take in, easy to digest? I have a colleague who talks about it in terms of snackable content, and I don't love that phrase, but I get it, right? Which is you're not trying to give somebody a whole meal's worth of information. Give them snacks throughout the day or throughout the week. Give them information in brief, measured bursts. So let's talk about some writing tips specifically, and I chose a lot of these based on things that I see myself editing in my own business. And one of these is the which And the word which, you better be offsetting it with commas, because which needs to be offset like that. So the truck, comma, which was green, comma, drove away. You can also substitute that and you don't need the commas, and it's a much cleaner sentence. The truck that was green drove away. But you can do that one even better. The green truck drove away. You see what I mean about sort of taking that message down to its simplest form? But the which that rule is a really important one that folks break with some frequency. Compound sentences. This is probably my biggest pet peeve, which is if you have two complete sentences separated by a conjunction, you need that comma. So the green truck drove away and the red car stayed. Not right. Okay if you put the comma after away. Also okay if you put a semicolon in and remove the word and. Again, ask yourself, is this really necessary to have it be one compound sentence? Perhaps it can just be two sentences. Again, simplifying your language, bringing it down. But if you're going to put two sentences together as a compound sentence, by God, get that comma in there. It just drives me crazy. Here are a couple of sort of interesting things, and I got to tell you that I'm not on board with either of these, but it is what the AP has said. We as communicators no longer need to spell out the word percent when it is used with a number. Using the percent sign, as long as it's following a numeral, is okay and acceptable according to AP. I've been working in PR firms for almost 30 years, and I spent a lot of time getting trained not to use the word over when we were talking about numbers. We were to say more than. Well, AP in 2019 changed that guidance and now said you can say over 19 people went to the event instead of saying more than 19 people. Again, I'm not there, but it is what AP style now says on both of those fronts. And some more. Another thing people often make mistakes with in their writing is they don't use the right word. It's a common mistake. I still see so much out there. I'm sure you all do too. You probably. The cavalry versus the cavalry, two very different words. Peek, peek, peek. Piquing my interest is not the same as peeking behind the curtain, nor is it the same as climbing a mountain peak. This next one frustrates me too. So Merriam-Webster just this year decided that irregardless was a word, even though it really isn't a word, but it has been used so much that they have now made it a word. What does irregardless mean? It means regardless. My advice, drop the IR. You do not need it, but if you need to use it, you may now, according to Merriam-Webster. Imminent and eminent, not the same thing. Toward, this is a big one. Towards is not a thing. Toward is the correct use. You should never use towards. Active and passive voice. This is a really great way to wake up your writing, is to try to avoid speaking in the passive voice. An error was made with your account. Active, we made an error with your account. Passive, adjectives are loved by writers. Active, writers love adjectives. It's more pithy, it's more direct, and it's better to use that active voice. I have several on my team with whom I give this guidance a lot. They will tell me, well, I spell checked the document. I'll tell you what spell check doesn't catch. It doesn't catch manager versus manger. It doesn't catch from and form. You're probably all thinking in your head about some other ones too, but and it doesn't check if the right word is not used. Okay, so it's looking for spelling. It's not looking for whether the word is correct. So you've got to read what you write. Look for a second set of eyes if you need it, but you've got to read what you write. So when I was working on this piece, I asked a whole bunch of communicators, what books do you want to have? What books do you recommend for writers who want to improve their writing? On Writing Well is a classic. Each Shoots and Leaves is a great one about punctuation. You can imagine what happens when you move that comma and Each Shoots and Leaves. There's another one I've seen that's out there that says, let's eat grandma. And if you don't have the comma after eat, then we're all eating grandma, and that's probably not a good thing. Another classic, this is one that I grew up in my career with, is Strunk and White's Elements of Style, another great book. And as always, I encourage all communicators to have a copy of the AP Style book, or at least have a subscription to AP Style online. So as we bring all this together, I think it's important just to remember that we've got to be, as communicators, aware of and actively considering where's our audience today and how much of this writing are they going to be able to tolerate. They've got high expectations of us as communicators, and they've got really low tolerance right now for this language. They're exhausted in what they're reading. You can avoid redundancies and cliches in your work. In fact, they're 100% not spelled out, avoidable. Take a minute. Don't rely on spell check. Don't even rely on Grammarly. Read your work. Reflect on it. Grammarly, spell check, editor will never tell you is, did I do a good job of talking to my audience? It'll tell you whether your writing is great, clean, but it won't tell you whether your writing is appropriate. And so I think that's where we as communicators, we just have to do better. We have to not be lazy. Look at your work with a critical eye, feedback, rewrite it if necessary. You know, writer pride is a real thing. And, you know, we all think all the words are important. And in our minds, perhaps all the words are important. But we've got to be willing to let other people review and edit our work. And we've got to be willing to rewrite when it's necessary to do so. That is all I've got. I know, Chris, I saw a couple of questions come up on there, and so I wanted to take a moment and just see if folks have questions or other things we can talk about. I know I kind of zipped through that quickly, so if anybody has things that they want to talk about or questions they want to ask, I'd be glad to take questions.
Well, Hinda, this is wonderful advice, and I truly appreciate you joining us today. Please, I'm going to encourage everyone, ask your questions in the chat feature or the Q&A feature, and we'll answer them here briefly. But this is a great refresher course, because obviously from the video that you played and from the way that we write, I think we all fall in the same trap of using those same words over and over and over again. So irregardless, just joking. We do appreciate you giving us this presentation. I do want to encourage, I know we have a lot of people on the line right now. So if you're not a member of PRSA, I do encourage you to join. Give it to yourself as a Christmas gift. And I'll tell you what, if you join before November 30th, you can use the Triple Play program, which will actually give you almost a rebate of up to $225 for joining PRSA. So it's a huge discount. Actually search Triple Play PRSA, and you can find out that you can use the Triple Play code and register for PRSA and a section of PRSA. And talk about sections. Hinda's contact information is up there, but the way that we met was through Counselors Academy, which is a section within PRSA. And we do a lot of those happy hours. So even though it seems like her internet was skipping a little bit, she wasn't drunk, and we didn't have a happy hour before this. But we do appreciate everyone joining us, and we hope you join us next week. We have Elizabeth Edwards, who's the founder and president of Engagement Science Labs and Volume PR. And the week following, we have Shauna Knuckles, who's the founder of Advocation. So I'm surprised there's no questions. I know you probably covered everything here, Hinda.
Well, you know, I think writing doesn't sort of lend itself to the same kinds of questions as some other topics do. That's been my experience when I've talked to people about these issues. Is it doesn't lend to questions, but looks like there's something happening in the chat. Let's see. Let's just do. Hi, Cornelia. How are you? Cornelia asked about the Elements of Style book, and I love it too. But the one I go back, I still use my online AP Style subscription Spiral book, right? That's my favorite. But the AP Style book is my favorite, and I do still consult the Strunk and White as well. But at the end of the day, I think and I don't know how, those of you who write for other people, it's always a struggle to convince them of some of the things that we know are accurate in AP style, like everybody wants their title capitalized, even if it comes after their name, right? And AP style says don't do that, but they want their title capitalized. So I struggle with that. I'm struggling a lot now too. I'm working with a lot of lawyers, and lawyers want the 2 periods or 2 spaces after the period. And they just can't wrap their heads around that. Fun fact, I'm also a lover of the Oxford comma, even though we're not supposed to use that anymore either. So it's hard, I think, to retrain yourself as a communicator, and I think you have to stay on top of things. What were you gonna say, Chris?
Now, I'm guilty of the 2 spaces as well. I grew up with that. That's what I learned, and so I continue to do it when I'm typing. So.
Indeed. And somebody asked about the slide sharing. I think this actually was recorded, right, Chris?
Yes, we did record this, and it's going to be uploaded tomorrow to the St. Louis PRSA YouTube page. So we've done 25 webinars to date. This is the 25th webinar. So Hinda, thank you for being part of our milestone of offering professional development to our members and non-members. But all those non-members out there, we hope you become members. But you can go see some of our previous webinars at the St. Louis PRSA YouTube page. So I don't see any other questions, but are there any? I'll leave it open for a minute or 2.
I always try to update this presentation. If anybody wants to put in the chat, sort of update this and add even more sort of pet peeves from communicators. I think it's always fun to hear what everybody else thinks are your favorite. Typo and spell check. The manger manager one gets me every time. That's the one that I feel like, I don't know, we must just write the word manager a lot, because I see manger coming through on my documents that I'm editing a lot.
For me,
so
it's
if anybody has pet peeves to share, I would love to have those.
My pet peeve is when anyone's speaking and uses the word always or anyways.
Yeah. We tend to put a lot of excess words in things because we think it makes us sound fancier and more important. And it just makes it harder for our audience to really process what we're telling them.
Absolutely. Well, Hinda, I don't want to keep you. I know we're intruding on your dinner time there in Columbus, but again, I want to thank Hinda Mitchell from Inspire PR Group out of Columbus, and she has a group of 16 people there, and they work nationally. So thank you for spending your evening with us, and hopefully we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you, and thank you, Valerie, for your contribution. And if anybody wants to email me and share some of their other pet peeves, I always love to hear them.
All right, thanks, guys. As Nora Adano says, test negative and stay positive. So look forward to you joining us next week. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.